Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm Ross Benjamin of rbwins.com. It's Wednesday, December the 28th, and like every Wednesday, I'm joined by the iconic one, Mr. Al Morty of BigAl.com. Al, a belated Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday Season to you, my friend.
Yeah, happy holidays, Ross. It's been a lot of fun this year. We took our family to Mammoth Lakes and got a little bit of winter weather in, so that was fun. Now we're back, and we've got the meat of the bowl season upon us. So it's a lot of fun this time of year.
Yeah, it's what we haven't had to account for up until a couple of years ago is this transfer portal, and we've discussed it before. The line movements are ridiculous from the opener to where they are now, and it depends. And very few of the line movements we've seen thus far were really money related. They're all the lines came out in second week of December, and then players gradually started opting out for the NFL draft or deciding to go into the transfer portal. So it makes it a little more difficult than it has been in years past. Not that it was ever easy, but there's that degree of uncertainty kind of things. I don't know how you feel about all that.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is it doesn't make it more difficult. All it does is it just makes you release the games on the day of the game. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, before, like you were saying off air to me the last time we spoke, Ross, usually I got 20 bowl picks up by December 17th. You just can't do that anymore, Al, because
that's correct.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make it harder per se. It just, you're just going day by day as opposed to, week by week or 2 weeks by 2 weeks. It's just a different way of doing things.
I'm off to a 4-1-1 start in the bowl season. I got 3 games going today as we speak. I got the Duke game against it slips my mind, but Duke.
CF.
Yeah, Duke is my pick in that game. I think they're up 7-0 as we speak. So
7-7 as we speak.
7-7 as we speak.
Now I'm a sports ticker for you.
And a very good one at that. Anyway, Al, tell the folks a little bit about your website, bigal.com, and also how you've been doing of late and what you may have coming up within the next few days or so.
Sure. My website's bigal.com. I've been in business. I think this is my 31st or 32nd year, maybe 31st year. I've won 22 out of the last 30 football seasons, 22 out of the last 30 basketball seasons. Currently riding a red hot 107-71 run across all sports. I've released my 5-star college football game of the year in upcoming bowl action. 5 stars, that's my highest rating. I don't have many of them, maybe about 10 to 12 5-star plays a year. I've hit my last 7 in a row, so this will be hopefully my 8th 5-star winner in a row. That goes back to April of this year. And things have been going good.
Yeah, as they normally are with Big Al. And again, you could find Al at bigal.com. Not only Al, but Al has 19 other great handicappers at his site. I'm part of his affiliate site over at pickadvisor.com. Another good 20 or so handicappers there as well. So you want to check those sites out, folks. A lot of good opportunities to make money with guys who do this full time and have done it quite successfully for quite some time as well. All right, Al, we're going to talk about some pretty interesting college football bowl matchups here, as you're going to take a look at the Orange Bowl. Ironically enough, the 2 teams playing in that Orange Bowl are Clemson and Tennessee, whose primary colors, you guessed it, are orange. And I'm going to take a look at the Alabama and Kansas State game. The Sugar Bowl played on the 31st. Al's game, the Orange Bowl, will be played on 12:30. But we'll start with you, Al. Clemson and Tennessee. What do you got for us here?
Well, I think, you would agree, most people would agree, these, Southeast Conference, it's the best football conference in the country, but it hasn't been great in bowl games of late when it's been installed as an underdog. The SEC Conference, they've only covered 3 of their last 10 when dressed up as a dog. Likewise, the Tennessee Volunteers are 3-10 their last 13 as underdogs. And even worse, the Volunteers are now 14-39-1 against the spread when playing a winning opponent that won its previous game if Tennessee wasn't favored by more than 9 points in that game. So none of that bodes well for the Volunteers in this matchup. Now, looking at the Clemson side of things, Clemson's 9-2 ATS, its last 11, Ross, when not favored by 14 or more points. And Dabo Swinney in the postseason, he's just money. The Tigers are 19-8 ATS ever since he became their interim coach way back when. So all of this bodes well, I think, for the Clemson Tigers in this matchup. And I also think, they have an advantage. When these, some teams get to play in their conference title game and other teams just go straight from the regular season, to the bowls. But teams that have played that extra postseason game, they played that conference title game, win or lose, those teams have gone 105-86 with 3 pushes in the bowl games, including 86 and 64 ATS if they weren't favored by 6 or more points. So I really like the setup here for the Clemson Tigers. The history with Dabo Swinney in the postseason, plus coming off that ACC title game blowout. I'm going to take the Tigers.
Clemson over Tennessee for Big L McMorty. And can't disagree with them. Also, Tennessee without their starting quarterback and best receiver, both opted out. So, again, a little bit of an advantage there, but that advantage is dissipated. People don't realize, we know who the players that are out, but it's worth mentioning. But by the same token, if we know it, the sports books know it.
It's baked into the line.
It's baked right into the line. Correct. So, again, me and Elle come from the same school in that regard. And when I start listening, and I don't want to criticize anybody else, but I hear some of these so-called sports handicappers doing some of these videos on other channels, and they're going on and on about player productions and who's not available and who is. You know what? If you want to do that, I would say do a fantasy show instead of a sports betting show. That's all I could say, with no disrespect intended. All right,
I think that's a great way to put it. I mean, it's, and in some ways, it's just stating the obvious too. I mean, just like, hey, the Raiders won't have Carr at quarterback this weekend. Okay, what else is new? I mean, it's all baked into the line. So
yeah. And the only reason you want to mention that is because you don't want some people to be misled, because it is baked into the line, but they could look at it from just a novice standpoint and say, wow, Clemson is a 5-point favorite against Tennessee. I'm going to do that. I got to take the underdog. Well, there's a reason for that. Folks, if you see something that's out of the ordinary at this time of year, meaning lines or line movements, drastic line movements, and also lines that don't make sense to you, there's a good reason why. And we live in a day and age right now where the transfer portal's getting ridiculous now, Al. It's over 1,000 players have entered it since the end of the regular season. So those are the types of things that you need to look for. And you might be more apt to find betting value on lines that have stayed in the similar range as their opening number, because to me, you could find true betting value within that. Doesn't mean games like what Al's just discussed, you can't win at. That's the furthest thing from the truth. So just some general ideas. Al, I like to say how we differentiate ourselves on this channel compared to many of the others, and I won't say all of them, but many of the others, is discussions such as these that we have over the course of time. We're hoping that you as a viewer and a sports bettor becomes a more knowledgeable and smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday, as opposed to just listening to a 2-minute free pick video where basically the sole concentration is just that specific game and giving you the winner or the free pick, and not lending any kind of advice beyond that game itself. So hopefully you take advantage of those opportunities on this show. All right, let me take a look at my game. Kansas State and Alabama. Al, I stopped and thought about this. And again, I'm not going to use anything from my software on this, because I said to myself, and again, I know you disagree, and that's okay. There's more than 2 ways or one way to skin a cat. And we're going to take an opposite approach when it comes to my philosophy here, is that because of everything I just mentioned, I just have a difficult time applying any betting angles to these types of situations because of everything I just discussed. Now, that's not to say it doesn't work. It's just the way it's working for me right now, and the early returns are good. So having said all that, I stopped and thought about the fact when Alabama doesn't make the college football playoffs under Nick Saban, my recollection is they're usually not up to snuff. It's a huge letdown. And this is no different. I mean, this is an Alabama team that in the final poll for the college football playoffs finished 5th. Very rare when they have not either qualified for a BCS national championship game or the college football playoffs under the tenure of Nick Saban. And when they don't, usually they're not real sharp in their bowl game. And you can't call the Sugar Bowl a minor bowl game by any stretch of the imagination. It's a premier bowl game. But Alabama's -6.5 in this game. They're going to be playing a team, and I will apply this to what Al just said, a team like Kansas State, who's coming off a big momentum builder. They won the Big 12 championship game over TCU, a team that did qualify for the college football playoffs. Ironically enough, Alabama is being asked to play on the same day as the college football playoffs. So again, I might be thinking too deep into this, but by the same token, there's a good chance they're not going to be as mentally sharp or as motivated for this game against Kansas State as they would ordinarily in a college football playoff setting. Now, having said that, Alabama is the more talented team. So if they are ready to play, they will win big. I'm banking on the fact that's not going to be the case. In terms of mental preparation and their mental state of mind going into this game. And it's the Kansas State team. Again, they win the Big 12 title. They finished 10-3 on the season. Their 3 losses were all against ranked teams, all close games. And they come in with a 4-0 straight up an ATS run, and now they get a crack at the grandfather of brand names in college football, the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I just think that they're going to be ready to play. And they're a well-coached team. They're a disciplined team. I like Kansas State here, plus the points. I would not be shocked whatsoever if they win this game straight up. And that's the way I feel 90% of the time when I use an underdog is if they don't have a realistic chance, I think in my mind to win the game outright, I won't take them. Regardless of what data shows me or anything else. But so in any event, I'm going to take Kansas State here. I'm going to take a shot here, Al. I'm going to take Kansas State plus the 6.5 over Alabama.
Well, I can't disagree with, I don't have a side in the game. I don't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak. But
yeah.
The interesting thing for me is when I do look at Alabama's bowl history, like you mentioned, more often than not, they have been in the hunt
right.
for the title. But I look at the last 3 times they weren't, and they covered the spread in all 3 of those games. If you take a look at the times when they, entered the bowl season, like with a win percentage, less than 900. Then before those 3 covers, then they had, some games where they didn't cover the spread. Overall, it was 50-50. But recently, I think we go back to 2007 in those 3 times that they weren't, in the hunt for a championship, they're 3-0 ATS. So, for me, it's an interesting game. I'm not going to play the game myself, but I definitely, understand where you're coming from, and I can definitely see the argument.
Well, you know what? Then my memory failed me. Maybe it was early in Saban's tenure, or maybe before Saban. I could have again. It's a moot point. The whole thing is what motivation with me and Kansas State riding a high, coming off a conference title. Alabama, like you alluded to in the angle that you just brought up on your game, Alabama not playing in a conference championship.
And in that angle.
Yeah.
If I forget the point spread, but if they're maybe getting 6 or more points or whatever it is if they played in a conference title game and their opponent didn't. I think it's 19-2 ATS to that team that had that extra postseason game experience. Going back to the Alabama situation, the 3 most recent games where they weren't in the title mix were against Michigan. You might remember that game against Jim Harbaugh. They blew out Michigan 35-16. That was back when Michigan was losing every game against every good team before they got good. Then you have to go all the way back to 2011, and Alabama played Michigan State. They blew out the Spartans 49-7. And then in 2007, they also, weren't in the mix, and they, beat Colorado by 6 points as a 4.5-point favorite. But then before that, they were 1-4 ATS in those, more meaningless bowl games. So
yeah. So I guess my memory goes back 20 years or more, which shows that my mental capacity is still with us, Al. But you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because we don't want to mislead anybody. Again, I was going strictly on memory, and obviously my memory failed me in recent Alabama bowl games where they weren't in contention to win a national title. And Al astutely corrected me on that, and I'm certainly glad he did. But having said that, you also heard Al what he said as far as the betting angle. When you get teams that are dogs of 6 or more that played in a conference title game against an opponent that didn't.
Don't quote me on the 6. I just know it's an underdog situation. My memory says it's 6. My memory's pretty good, but it's not 100% perfect. So
yeah, my memory's good these days. It's just short. Anyway, Al, always a pleasure, my friend. I hope you knock them dead this week. We'll get with you early next week, and we'll start talking about a college basketball schedule, because Al's one of the finest handicappers in the world when it comes to college basketball, amongst the other sports that he does as well. So until the next time, buddy, I hope you have a great week, knock them dead during the bowl season, and finish the NFL strong. And we'll talk next week.
Thanks, Ross. And again, folks, don't miss all of Ross's picks at pickadvisor.com and rbwins.com. And then you get my selections as well as other folks' selections at bigal.com. We've got great articles there as well. So just go to bigal.com for all of that.
I'm glad you reminded me that. College football bowl season, I'm 4-1-1. The NFL, I'm having another winning year in the NFL right now as we speak. I'm not killing it, but I'm making a decent profit. College football, beside the bowl record, 9-4 run since the end of the regular season. And college basketball, 26-19. My NBA 10-star top place, 26-13, dating back to last year. And also my NFL 10-star top plays this year are a profitable 12-6. So again, that's rbwins.com, bigal.com, and also pickadvisor.com. Until the next time, for Al McMorty and Ross Benjamin, we'd like to wish each and every one of you a very happy holiday season. Stay safe, folks. Good luck. God bless, and take care.